If you asked me if I ever imagined myself in an Ironman race, I would have said never. You see, I grew up a scrawny kid, big thick glasses. My friends call me super chicken and chicken legs, and I was the furthest thing from an athlete. The only sport my parents put me in was t-ball. But then at the age of 39, I got into running. A year later, I bought a bike, and a year after that, I was in my first Ironman 70.3 duathlon. So this race starts with a 5K run, then you do a 92K bike, and you finish with a 21K run. Now back in the race, I'm on my bike. I've just started the bike portion, and I'm feeling strong and confident. I pass a couple cyclists on the right. But just as I pass these cyclists, a group of racers go whizzing by me, like a swarm of hornets. They've got aerodynamic helmets and quads the size of my waist. But I don't let it bother me. I just smile because to me, my only goal is getting to the finish line. But then at the 20-kilometer mark, something happens. I start to feel these intermittent stabbing pains in my quads. I haven't felt anything like this in my training leading up to this race. So I try to ignore it until I can't ignore it anymore. The pain is so intense. It's like someone has my nerve exposed and they're just stabbing it over and over and over again. I have to slow right down on the bike. Then my consciousness gets hijacked by thoughts of quitting, thoughts of my friends and family judging me, embarrassment. I'm coasting now and piles of cyclists are passing me. So as I move forward slowly, I start shifting around on my bike. So I shift to the left and I pedal. I shift to the right and I pedal. I move back. I move forward. And what I notice is as I move around on the bike, the pain doesn't stay. It comes, but it goes away. So for the next 40 kilometers, that's how I ride. And then in the last 1/3 of that race, the bike portion, something happens. The pain completely disappears. And then shortly after, I see the 90-kilometer sign. And this huge grin comes across my face because I know I'm going to finish the bike. But what I don't realize is that that grin's not going to last. I couldn't imagine what's about to happen next because most people that do triathlons and duathlons, they have a discipline that they enjoy more than the others or they excel at. And for me, running was my thing. It was my jam. It was what I felt most strong and most comfortable at. So as I pulled in the transition zone, which is where you swap your bike for your runners, the crowd is cheering. I find my wife, she's flanked by my kids, they're cheering. I toss my bike to the side. I slip into my runners. And as I get on that run track, something happens. It's not short stabbing pains in my quads. It's a reverberating pain like an echo from my ankle all the way to my hip. With every step, it's intense pain that I've never felt in my life. In that moment, I thought about 21 kilometers and it seemed impossible. It was impossible. I could barely walk 2 meters. I looked over at my wife and I said, I can't do this. And she pushed me forward with her hand and she said, just try. So I look ahead and the first 100 to 200 meters of the run race is on an incline. To me, it looked like Mount Everest. But I refocused and I said to myself, okay, just take a step forward and it doesn't matter how big the step is. And so sure enough, I did. Step by step, I made it to the top of that little incline. And when I got to the top of the incline, I noticed that the pain was starting to subside. And that zombie walk that I was doing was now turning into a small trot. And that trot was the slowest trot you've ever seen. 1 foot barely in front of the other. But then I got to the 1 kilometer sign, the 2 kilometer sign. As I moved forward, the pain dissipated. And sure enough, by the 4 kilometer mark, the pain was gone. And I was into a light jog. I was passing people. So I sped up, I slowed down, I stopped. I did whatever my body asked me to for the rest of that run. And then sure enough, I got to 18, 19, 20. And the last couple 100 meters of that race, that same incline that was holding me back is now pushing me forward to the finish line. I start to well up with emotion. I think about my mom and my dad as I cross the finish line. I look at the clock. It's 6 hours, 12 minutes. A girl comes by and she puts a medal around my neck and she hands me a t-shirt that says finisher in bold on the back. Some guy walks by me, taps me on the shoulder and he says congratulations, but his words just echo in my ears and my whole body is vibrating. It's like I'm drugged and everything around me is in slow motion. But I've finished. I'm a finisher. Now, when I look back and I dissect my race, I see it as a metaphor of my life, filled with obstacles and challenges. losing my mother, being diagnosed with extreme obsessive compulsive disorder, and having that challenge for most of my life as a roller coaster, losing my dad, and then being diagnosed with chronic fatigue just a few years ago. But when I look back at the adversity, I know that it's resilience that's gotten me here. But what's even more important is when I look back at that race, I learned what resilience meant to me. Resilience was going through an obstacle by getting present and moving forward. It wasn't worrying about an end result or a finish line or what people are going to think. It wasn't thinking about or having fear of failure. When we started my run portion, that 21 kilometers seemed so impossible. Impossible when I thought about that finish line. But when I got present, when I took action, no matter how small, something amazing happened. When I got present, I was given a gift. Instead of me going to the finish line came to me. And I learned that resilience was being present and moving forward. Thank you.